Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we really plunge into some fascinating material, pull out those key insights you need.
Get you properly informed.
Exactly. And today, wow, we're tackling a really captivating, kind of chilling legend, one that's just soaked into cultures across, well, an entire continent.
Hmm.
Our source material for this deep dive comes from a podcast, Oddity Oasis. They did an episode exploring the enduring story of La Llorona,
The Weeping Woman.
the weeping woman who haunts Latin America.
Yeah.
So our mission today, let's unpack the big versions of her story, look into the sightings people report, and dig into the theories why this legend just keeps going.
It's really something, isn't it?
Yeah.
How one single figure can mean so many things and just last across such a huge cultural area.
Right.
I think this dive will help us get a handle on not just the story, but maybe those deeper psychological roots, the history behind it. It makes you ask, why do some legends stick around so powerfully?
That's the core question, yeah. And she really does stick.
Ah.
She weeps by rivers, she mourns in the dark, searching for centuries now.
La Llorona.
Exactly. You hear whispers about her from Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, even up into the American Southwest. But who was she? And why is her ghost supposedly still around?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the most common version, the one you hear most often, it centers on this woman named Maria.
Okay.
Apparently, she was incredibly beautiful, like stunningly beautiful. Some stories even say it was almost a curse, her looks.
Beauty is a curse. That's a classic trope, isn't it?
Mm.
Sets things up.
Right. And she was a peasant girl, but she caught the eye of this wealthy nobleman.
The class difference.
Yeah.
Another classic element. So ill-fated love, maybe.
Well, they definitely fell in love. Or, she certainly did. They had 2 children together.
Okay, so for a while, things seemed good.
For a time, yeah, life seemed pretty perfect for Maria. But then, well, things fell apart.
How so?
The nobleman came back, but not for Maria. He showed up with a new bride, someone, from his own social standing.
Oh, wow. Ouch.
Yeah. And he made it devastatingly clear. He wanted his children.
But not Maria.
But not Maria. Can you imagine that betrayal?
That's brutal, and that right there feels like the turning point.
Oh, it absolutely is. And this is where the story gets incredibly dark. Really dark.
Okay.
Blinded by just, unimaginable rage and heartbreak, Maria took her 2 children down to the river.
Oh, no.
And in this moment of just madness, she drowned them.
Her own children.
Her own children.
That act, that specific violence against your own kids, that's the core of the horror, isn't it? It goes against everything we think about motherhood.
Yeah.
Makes her both pitiful and terrifying.
Completely. And the story says as soon as she realized the absolute horror of what she'd done, she just screamed into the night, utterly consumed by it.
The guilt must have been immediate.
Instantaneous. And then she threw herself into that same river.
Following her children.
Trying to, maybe. But the legend says the water wouldn't accept her, rejected her soul.
So she died, but didn't find peace.
Exactly. Died, but her soul was denied rest, and that's why her spirit wanders. Drenched, usually in white, hair all tangled, face pale, hollow.
And the crying.
And endlessly crying, "I miss Hughes!
Oh, my children.
My children!"
Just eternally searching.
Such a tragic, terrifying image.
It really is. Now, here's the thing. La Llorona isn't just some old story people tell to make kids behave,
Right, it feels more active than that.
The source material really stresses that reports of seeing her or hearing her are, well, really enough to genuinely terrify people, even today.
And this is where it crosses from folklore into lived experience almost. It starts shaping how people act, the warnings they give each other.
Totally. It shows that power of collective belief, doesn't it?
Absolutely. How a shared story can create real fear, real caution. And what's interesting is how it adapts, right? Sometimes she's after misbehaving kids, sometimes cheating husbands.
Yeah.
It shifts.
It shows how the legend functions like a sort of moral compass, maybe?
Yeah.
Changing with what society is worried about, but always keeping that core terror. It's not just reflecting fear, it's actively shaping behavior.
That's a great point. Kids all over Mexico grow up hearing these warnings. Stay away from the river after dark. La Llorona might get you.
A classic boogeyman tactic, but rooted in this specific tragic figure.
And travelers, adults, they claim they hear her sobbing near rivers, canals. And sometimes those cries are seen as an omen, like predicting a death or someone disappearing.
So it's not just a personal threat, but a sign of wider misfortune, too.
Sometimes, yeah. The source mentions specific places, too, like Santa Fe, New Mexico. She supposedly haunts the La Posada Hotel.
Huh. Any reason why there?
Apparently, the site itself has a history of some kind of bloody betrayal, so it fits the theme.
The legend latches onto places with resonant histories. Makes sense.
And in Texas, there are stories of a woman in white seen gliding over a dry creek bed, just vanishes. No footprints, nothing.
Ghostly. Really classic ghost story elements there.
Right. And in Guatemala, they talk about a spectral woman knocking on doors at night, asking if anyone's seen her children. Just imagine that knock late at night.
Chilling. It really gets under your skin.
So what do you think makes these sightings feel so real, so persistent?
I think it's that mix. The core story is consistent, the weeping, the water, the kids. That's the anchor.
Okay.
But then you get these local twists. She's at this hotel, or after those kinds of people. It lets communities kind of personalize the fear, connect it to their own places, their own
A
anxieties.
bit more immediate.
Exactly. It's that perfect blend of the universal fear and the local detail. Oh, and that creepy detail everyone agrees on.
Which one?
If you hear her cry really close by, you're actually safe.
Right. But if it sounds far away...
That's when you need to run. That inversion, it's just psychologically terrifying. It messes with your instincts.
It really does. So, okay, let's pull back. What are the deeper insights here? What does it all mean? Because like you said, these enduring stories, they're usually layered with history, with societal stuff.
Right. It's rarely just a ghost story. It prompts that question about what myths do for us. How do they evolve? How do they help us process things? Maybe history, maybe collective fears.
Yeah, how do they work?
Stepping back, you see how flexible folklore really is. It adapts.
Well, the source gave a few pretty compelling theories about where La Llorona might have come from.
Okay, like what?
One idea is that she's maybe a distorted echo from way back, from Aztec mythology.
Ah, pre-colonial roots.
Yeah. Specifically, a goddess named Xihuacuatl.
Xuquatl. Wasn't she also connected to weeping and lost children?
Exactly. She wept for her lost children too, and her appearance was supposedly an omen, a warning of disaster.
Wow, okay. That connection feels really significant then. It plants the legend much deeper historically. Suggests an indigenous core that maybe got mixed with European stories later.
Blended together.
Yeah. Think about Xuquatl. She was tied to childbirth, fertility, but also war, sacrifice. She'd appear at night weeping, wailing, a bad omen.
All those elements line up.
They really do. The weeping, the children connection, the omens. Maybe those fused with European stories about, say, infanticide that came with the conquest creates this powerful hybrid figure, La Llorona, that resonates across different cultural memories.
That makes a lot of sense. Then there's another angle, seeing her more as a symbol of the trauma of colonialism itself.
How so?
Like, she's this woman caught between two worlds, indigenous and Spanish, maybe poor and wealthy. Perhaps she's being punished for loving across those lines in a society that was being totally torn apart and rebuilt.
So her personal tragedy becomes a metaphor.
Yeah, a metaphor for those bigger historical wounds, the injustices, the pain of a society, and massive upheaval.
That really highlights the social, even political side of folklore, doesn't it? Her killing her children. In that reading, maybe it symbolizes losing a whole way of life, or the desperation that comes from that kind of societal breakdown under colonial rule.
It's like the story becomes a way for people to process and remember that really deep collective pain.
A way to articulate unspeakable history through narrative.
And maybe, stripping it all back, maybe she just laughs because she taps into our really basic primal fears.
Like what?
You know, the fear of being betrayed, the absolute horror of motherhood turning monstrous, unnatural, and just that deep, unending grief that can literally consume a soul.
Those gut-level fears that transcend time and culture.
Right. It's kind of a testament to, I don't know, human imagination or maybe just our deepest anxieties that a story like this can echo for so long.
It truly is.
So we've heard the story, the persistent sightings, the different theories behind one of Latin America's really, truly chilling legends.
Yeah.
And it seems pretty clear La Llorona is way more than just a ghost story. She's like a cultural touchstone.
Constantly reflecting our deep fears, our history.
Yeah, our anxieties.
And if you think bigger picture, it makes you wonder how many of our simple folktales are actually packed with these complex truths about being human, acting as warnings or moral guides.
Or just mirrors to our collective subconscious.
Exactly, shaping how we see the world, maybe without us even noticing.
So maybe next time you find yourself near some quiet water at night,
Mm-mm.
listen, just listen carefully. And if you happen to hear that sound, like distant sobbing on the wind, maybe don't answer. Don't look too hard.
Just walk away.
Just walk away. Because some stories, maybe they don't want us to, just stories. And La Llorona, well, she's still out there,
Sure.
still searching.
Still weeping.
So, what stands out to you the most about this legend, and how do you think our fears today, our modern anxieties about, say, betrayal or loss, how might they find new ways to echo in ancient tales like hers?